Hey everyone, Chrissy here, and today I want to show you how to make these cards. I am using the amazing Deco Foil Flock Transfer Sheet. This is the green MV color. Now I have shown the flock transfer sheets on some previous videos, but today I wanted to show you how to emboss. So I'm actually embossing using a stencil. So we are teaming up with Heffy Doodle, and this is one of their stencils that they offer. And it's called the basket case stencil. So for the particular die cutting machine I'm using, I was just able to put it right on to the flock and press it through, and I had no problems. You may need to change, you may need to add like a rubber mat or some extra cardstock depending on what die cutting machine you're using, but for mine, easy peasy. So then I decided that I kind of wanted to highlight, maybe put like a little bit of a shadow in the background. So another thing that is so great with these transfer sheets is that you can add ink to them. So I just went in with some Gina ink, and I just took a little blender and added a little bit of extra brown ink in there just to give it a little extra something. And it really kind of also highlights that stencil. It makes it pop out a little bit more. So I set that aside, and now I'm going to stamp my images. So as I mentioned, we are collaborating with Heffy Doodle. And this is called the Crumbs Stamp Set. I think the set's so cute. There's little corgis on it. So then you get the front of the corgi, and you also get the back side. And I just stamped an extra one just for good measure. I colored that in off camera, and I just kind of had that off to the side because I'll use it at some point. Because the whole stamp set is really cute. There's all kinds of cute little things that go with it, like tea and stuff like that. So it was right up my alley. So then I colored everything in. I am using some watercolor markers. So I should mention that I stamped these on watercolor cardstock. So that is also why I use my Misty stamping tool, so I could get a clean impression, because watercolor cardstock, if you're not familiar with it, can be a little bit bumpy. So there's two sides to it. One side's usually a little bit smoother, so I did stamp on that side, but it's still bumpy. So by using my stamping tool, that way I was able to stamp in the same spot a few times to get a nice clean impression. And then off camera I did put clear embossing powder on it, and that was just to protect the ink so it didn't run. Now this ink probably shouldn't run, but just in case, I knew I'd be adding a lot of water and a lot of ink to it. So I always do that to kind of protect my images, because the worst thing in the world is when you've been coloring or painting and then all of a sudden you add in that last color and then everything bleeds and you have to start over. So as I mentioned, I am using watercolor markers. These are Spectrum Aquas. So all I do is I kind of scribble off to the side. You can see here I'm using a glass mat. You do not need a glass mat. You can use any type of slick surface. So you can use an acrylic sheet that you have like a backer for a stamp. If you have like a laminated sheet, anything else, even an acrylic black would work. That's what I used to use. And then I'm just picking it up with a water brush. So you could also just use a paintbrush with water. You do not need a water brush. I just prefer them because I feel like I have a lot more control. So I just went in with the lighter color first, and then I'm just going in and I'm kind of adding some of the shadows. I've added a few extra colors here for the details, like the red for the ears and all that. You can just see. And this is a little bit of a learning curve because watercoloring does take some patience. So, you know, you might put that first layer on, the second layer on, it's not quite what you want. Keep in mind when you're watercoloring that you have lots and lots and lots of layers of color before you get that watercolor look that we all like. So I just went ahead and I fussy cut these out. I believe there are coordinating dies, but I just wanted to fussy cut. I kind of like fussy cutting. I'm weird like that. So I just did the front and the back, so then I have both of them, and I set those aside. So I did die cut at a little angle off of the front of that card just to give it a little bit of interest. And then I decided to use that same stencil. It's called Basket Case. And on my card base, I decided that I was going to add a little bit of color onto it using that stencil. The white, just the plain white card base, it just seemed so harsh and it felt like it needed something. So I just used another Gina ink here, and I just added a little bit of color, and I just kind of placed that on top as reference. So I didn't do the entire card because a lot of it would be covered. So I just did the edges and the bottom just to make sure what was going to be showing was good, and there it is. So then I just started to add the adhesive. Now I'm basically going to assemble my card and do all the finishing touches. And don't forget, I have that back side of the corgi as well, not just the front. So I placed that little guy on the front, and then, and about the spot on the inside, it didn't need to be perfect because nobody's going to hold it up to the light and check or anything like that. But then I placed a little back side on. So then it's kind of a nice little treat there. When you open the card, you get an extra little surprise in there. I think it's so funny. I've seen people where they do like little spinners so it flips. I'll probably do that sometime in the future, but for this card, I just thought it was really cute. It's like the flock is kind of like grass that he's running in, and then you open the card, and then he's running away. So that's kind of the way that I looked at it. I wanted to add some sequins onto the card, so you can see I'm kind of placing those around. So originally I was going to use the Zatz Bling, but then I realized because I have this flock on here, if I did that and put that on, it would pull off the flock. So instead, I decided just to use I have my Deco Foil liquid adhesive, and that stuff works perfect. So basically I just squeezed it onto a little Post-it note off to the side there, you can see, and I have tweezers. I just kind of dip it in, and then I brush off the excess on that Post-it note too, so it's not overpowering. We don't need a bunch of glue on there, though it does dry clear, so even if you had a bunch of glue, it would be okay because you wouldn't be able to see it. But this is my liquid adhesive of choice, especially for sequins, when I have to use liquid adhesive. So you can see I'm just finishing it up. And that's it. This is the final card. I have another card too I made off camera that I'll show you in just a second. So thank you so much for stopping by today. Make sure to use hashtag Decofoil and hashtag Thermoweb out in the web so we can find you. Thanks and have a great day.